All is well with you. Now this video I've called Depression and the Power of the Nothing Thought. It's Mental Health Awareness Week here in the UK. I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month in the USA, because they have to do everything bigger, don't they? But it's Mental Health Awareness Week here in the UK, and the theme of it this year is anxiety. And many years ago, I did a series of 3 videos talking about my own experience with depression, which obviously when anxiety tips over into something more. And I did a series of 3 videos about depression, which I thought had value. And one of them was called Depression and the Power of the Nothing Thought, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. Oh, hang on, how long have I been going? 11:05, just checking the time. And one of them was called Depression and Why I'm Giving You the Finger, which I'll talk about tomorrow, I think. And the third one, which was the first one in the series, I can't actually remember the title. I'll have to go back and look, but it was good. Now, instead of resharing those videos, even though the point is exactly the same, I always like to just redo the content, because it's May, what's the date? Is it the 18th? May the 18th, 2023, as I'm recording this video. And I recorded those videos years ago. The point is the same, but when I record the video, do it as a live again today, it sort of drives home the point that the value of the message is exactly the same today. It's a lovely sunny spring day here in Croydon in South London in the UK. But things are not nice and sunny when you've got anxiety, are they? Or if it tips over into depression. Now, we all get anxiety. Anxiety is a normal human emotion. There's nothing wrong with anxiety per se. It's the context that matters, why you're anxious, and what you do about it. What you do about it action-wise, and what you do about it internally. Now, this is where the problems can happen. And this is what happened to me. Many years ago, back in 1997, which is 26 years ago, I had anxiety after a specific event. And it tipped over into depression. Because what I tried to do was think my way out of it, because I had always, up to that, been sort of what I would call a rampantly positive and a goal achiever. And yeah, I can do that because if I want to, I just simply decide to do it and then do it, whatever it may be. So I was positive, a goal achiever, thinking, oh yeah, we get anxiety, but you can just deal with it and think your way around it. Now, when I tried to think my way around the anxiety after this specific problem, it didn't work, which was a new development for me. I'd never experienced that before, and I was 31 at the time, just coming up to 31. I'd never experienced it before, and I couldn't think my way out of the anxiety. And not only that, it was getting worse. So my mind started to be dominated by how bad things were for me in the present. And because it was getting worse without me being able to think my way around it, how bad things were going to be in the future, only getting worse, was how my mind started to dominate my own thoughts. I kept telling myself, this is stupid, think your way out of this. This is stupid. You know better than this. You can think your way out of it. And it just was having no effect. It was going straight over. It was having no impact whatsoever. And it got to the point where I wasn't even making a dent in it anymore. I stopped enjoying the things that I would enjoy. I started actively disliking the things that I should be enjoying, because it was reminding me of times in the past when I enjoyed it. Why couldn't I enjoy it now? So I started to turn away from things that gave me pleasure. I started to turn away even from thoughts that gave me pleasure. And you get into a fight or flight system with this. As I later found out, I had adrenaline surges almost 24 hours a day. When you get this adrenaline surge, fight or flight, normally we've all experienced adrenaline in our life. We know what it means, you know, the heart beating or butterflies, when your heart rate goes up, and adrenaline is surging around your body. All the time this was. So I tried to, what could I do about this? How could I think my way out of it? There was nothing I could do action-wise. I took the action steps that I could take, and they didn't work in that specific situation I was in, or that had happened to me. And when the adrenaline is flowing around you all the time, non-stop, and you sort of think your way into this corner, this conundrum, this knot of thoughts, that it's only ever going to be like that, it's never going to get better. I got to the point where I couldn't sleep, but I didn't want to be awake. I thought lying in bed was giving me some sort of respite, I would think, from the stress, but not enough, because I couldn't sleep. And I would wake up in the morning, bang, or the morning would come, daylight, bang, and I'd have to try, this full on, like a flood, a torrent of this anxiety washing over me. Boo, 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 anxiety, boo, boo, boo. I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing at the time, I can tell you. And in that situation, I got to a stage where I was not only unhappy that I'd woken up again in the morning, I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I always describe it that I looked over the edge of the abyss and I enjoyed the view. Mentally, I wanted there to be a red button that I could press at night and not wake up in the morning. And this mental knot and the flood and the torrent, I almost went into shutdown. Everything goes numb. Everything goes numb. It's almost like when your head goes underwater, you put your head underwater. There was this numbness to everything. And trying to function as a normal person with all that going on just makes it worse. So I was in a bad place. I was in a dangerous place, and I knew it. There's no two ways about it. I thought I was going mad. I actually thought, hang on, is this what happens when you go mad, when you're going insane? Because I couldn't comprehend what was happening to me. I was almost standing outside myself. It was bewildering to me, but I knew I was in a dangerous place. Now, I was came back from the edge of looking over the abyss through a combination of talk therapy and chemical therapy, because what had happened was I had depression. I'd slipped into depression, which is a combination of a chemical imbalance within the body. So there is a physical element to it, and also how my mind and brain and thoughts was interpreting that chemical balance and what was happening there. So that's where the talk therapy comes in. It's a twin barreled cure, a twin pronged attack to get yourself back from that kind of situation. So I consider myself lucky that happened and I was able to get back from the edge of the abyss. Now, why have I called this video The Power of the Nothing Thought? Well, it's in Mental Health Awareness Week, and one of the tools that I learnt as part of my recovery, and it still works now, I've used it ever since, 26 years later, I can still use this. It is massively powerful, which is why I think there's value in the message, is that if you're battling anxiety, what you can do, one of the key techniques of battling anxiety, is to not think of it as battling anxiety. It's not a battle. It's not a fight. It's not a war. It's just something that's happening. So the key is to acknowledge that it's happening. As soon as you acknowledge that it's happening and you recognize what it is, then that is almost 50% or more of dealing with it. Now here's to take the analogy further, and this is the way I use it. It's a lovely sunny day here in the UK. But if you imagine a storm cloud, when a storm cloud passes overhead, I'm going to do this. When a storm cloud passes overhead, and you can use this as an analogy to depression and anxiety, do you try and fight? Do you try and force a cloud to go away with your thoughts? No. You might think, oh, it's not nice having clouds. But here's the thing. You know that the cloud is going to pass. They always do. It might not look like it when the sky is dark and it's heaving it down. You might not look like you're going to get blue sky again, that storm is going to pass. It might not feel like it. You're outside, you're getting soaked, it's cold, it's pitch dark. You might not look like the blue skies are going to come again, but you know deep down that they are. So then you can think, okay, this storm is not nice. I don't like a black sky. I don't like getting soaked. I don't like getting cold. But that's what's happening. It's not going to last forever. The blue skies will come again, whether we want them to or not. They will come again. So, taking this back to anxiety or depression, in my case, as it was, is why this technique is so powerful. When you feel it, you think, oh, hang on, I know what's happening here. I know what that is. That is anxiety or / depression. But if you've got depression, you're going to need other tools as well. But for anxiety, which is the focus of mental health awareness this week, once you acknowledge it, you can stop battling it. You can stop fighting it. And I call it batten down the hatches mode. So if you imagine you're in a tornado or something, you go maybe down into a cellar and batten down the hatches and just wait for it to pass. Like a cloud. Just wait for it to pass. Might not be pleasant, but you can think, okay, this isn't the most pleasant experience in my life, but it'll pass. I don't have to battle it. I don't have to fight it. It's not a war. If you try and battle anxiety or fight it, or use that kind of terminology, you're going to create more anxiety. You're going to trigger a fight or flight system in your own brain. You're going to trigger adrenaline surges yourself. And then when you start to wonder, why can't I stop it? Well, there's the answer, because you're the one that's causing it. Now, it's important I say this. Don't blame yourself. Anxiety is not your fault. Depression is not your fault. It's not. You mustn't blame yourself. That's another key element. Because you can think, oh, this is my fault. My fault. I'm stupid for not being able to deal with anxiety. It's my fault. No. It's a thing that's happening. It's a physical thing and it's a mental thing. It can be dealt with. You just maybe don't understand some of the techniques, or maybe haven't got to grips with some of the techniques. That's okay. You're not the first. You won't be the last. I learnt this technique 26 years ago to bring myself back from the brink. I still use it today because anxiety, as I say, is normal. There's nothing unusual or wrong with anxiety in and of itself. It's the strength of the anxiety, the context of it. So this batten down the hatches idea is what I call the power of the nothing thought. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm not saying, because that can be dangerous as well. If you ignore anxiety, that can be dangerous. I'm not saying ignore it at all. I'm saying acknowledge it. And then when you acknowledge it, you can think, right, well, am I getting this because of a specific event that's happened, of a specific circumstance? Or is it just a chemical reaction inside me that might be happening for any kind of reason? You don't always have to know the reason. But the power of the nothing thought. Give your mind some space to calm down again. Be careful of that phrase, calm down. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying calm yourself down, don't be silly. I'm saying just giving your mind and those neural connections in your brain just time to just be themselves without getting bombarded by having to battle some kind of war. Give yourself the space. So anyway, there we go. How long have I got? Well, that's 15 minutes. I try to keep it under 10 minutes. But you know what I'm like? Once I get into waffle mode and start talking about something I believe in, 15 minutes is quite short for me, considering. There we go. Depression and the power of the nothing thought. Now, my plan tomorrow is to do a video called Depression and Why I'm Giving You the Finger, which is another interesting one. Let me know what you think. I laugh when I talk about these subjects now because I laugh in most of my content because that's just the way I present my content. That doesn't mean the content isn't serious. It doesn't mean I don't believe that the message doesn't have value. I think there's huge value in this. I really do. I always have done. Ever since I discovered these techniques to come back from anxiety / depression / looking over the edge of the abyss. Remember, I wanted there to be a red button that I could press so I didn't wake up in the morning. No laughing matter. If I'm not laughing about it 27 years later, or laughing about when I deliver the content in normal life, obviously you're not cured, you're not recovered. Again, be careful with that terminology. Of course I can smile when I'm talking about something that serious. Anyway, right, I am slipping into waffle mode now. I'm going to stop. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below wherever you happen to be seeing this video. Oh, and by the way, before I do finish, something else that's important to say, and I forgot, I mentioned these in my videos talking about depression. I'm not qualified. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. Got no qualifications in that area whatsoever. I don't claim to have any qualifications in that area. All I'm talking about is anecdotal, my experience, which is the only experience I can talk about. So remember that, by the way. But if it helps other people, yeah, I'm going to bloody well tell it. Don't you worry about that. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, wishing you as ever health and happiness. I'll speak to you again soon.